In this video, we are going to use Google's AI Studio and go from start to finish from prototyping an app to actually going live and deploying it. Now, it's a little bit more complicated to do this with AI Studio right now. So I'm going to go step by step and show you how to do it with a real live use case. And I'm excited to show you everything that I've been learning building with AI Studio and Cursor and deploying, and we're going to use Vercel to actually deploy. So if you want to learn how to go from start to finish, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it, and you are going to walk away with the ability to do it yourself. So to get started, you're going to want to go to ai.dev. This is the free developer portal for AI app building that Google has created. And inside of AI Studio, we can go to the Build tab. And here we can build our ideas with Gemini. It's going to use the Gemini 3 Pro model for free. You can add system instructions if you want and adjust a few other settings. And if you add AI functionality into your app, so let's say we were to create like an AI resume grader or something like that, and it used Gemini inside of the app, it's going to build all of that in this prototyper. You can kind of think of this as a prototyper. And then you're going to see how we actually go from the prototype to deploying it with a live Gemini API key to actually make it work in production and get it off of AI Studio and actually have it deployed so other people can access it. So again, the idea here isn't as important as what you're going to learn with the fundamentals of actually building. So having said that, let's go ahead and get started, and we're going to go step by step. But the first step is actually getting our initial prototype created. To do this, let's come up with an idea. So let's go with that idea that I had. I want an AI resume generator and grader app. It should both generate resumes and grade them for users and help them improve them. The target audience is college students. So we're going to go ahead and build it. Now, something kind of fun, just so you know, is there is this I'm feeling lucky button. So if you just want to come in, have Google create something for you, you can click that button, but you can also have your own prompt. So I'm going to go ahead and build that. So now that we're building it, we're inside of AI Studio, and we can see on the left side, we have Gemini 3. It's starting to actually plan the interface, build out the actual app. It's going to write all the code for us. So this is similar to something like Lovable. Like if you have used Lovable before, this is, kind of a similar interface, an AI app building interface. You can also sync the code to GitHub, and that's something we're actually going to do later on so we can get off of AI Studio and actually we're going to build in Cursor and then deploy it through Vercel. So these are all things that you can't currently do inside of AI Studio. Now, I know that something they have planned for AI Studio in the future is to give users the ability to add a backend and actually deploy all through Google and use Firebase, which is owned by Google. So all within their own environment. So as soon as that is released, I'll create a video on how to do it all within this one platform. But there are also advantages of getting off of AI Studio and going into your own environment and having full control over and decide, how you want to host it, what you want your backend to be on, whether you want to have Supabase, for example. So there are a lot of options. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. But the first step will be this prototype. We'll test it inside of AI Studio. And then once it's working and working the way that we want, we'll go off AI Studio and then put it onto Cursor, make some more edits, add a backend, and then deploy through Vercel. So here we go. We have our first initial mockup of our prototype. It wrote all the code, so we can see, we can even scroll through the code if you want. You can edit it directly if you are technical and want to do that, but you don't have to know what any of that means. So it gave us two different options: land your internship, build resume, or grade resume. So we can click build, and this is kind of interesting. So let me fill this out and see what it looks like. So I just created a quick personal details section. I can add education. So I just added some education here. 4.0. Next step, experience, no code MBA, founder, say June 2020 to present. And let's see, I run an AI platform or AI education platform. I wonder, so if I click AI enhance the bullets, so this is where it's starting to, it adds AI functionality automatically into your app. And this is where I'll show you later how we add our own Gemini API key. So we'll be paying for it once we add our API key, once it's off of AI Studio, but we're going to have to do that because you can't publish from AI Studio and have other people use it like this. but I'll show you how to do that. But that's cool that, it was able to basically, as we're generating it, enhance the resume. And you can add more experience, but right now we'll just stick with one. We'll do next step, skills. Let's say communication. We'll say video editing, and we'll say AI app building. And we'll preview the resume, and here we go. It created this nice little resume, and it's cool. It would just add the experience as we created it. I actually like this. And oops, go back to the preview. And then you can print or save your PDF, and that just saved it to my computer. So let's go back to, why don't we refresh and go back to the home page, and we'll grade the resume. So this is interesting. So it wants me to paste the resume text to get instant AI feedback on content. So let me find a resume online that we can paste in. So I just found a resume online and I pasted it in, and I'm going to click grade my resume. And it could be cool to add in the ability to like paste an image as well, or upload a PDF, upload an image, but it's analyzing it. It's using Gemini to actually analyze it. So it has that AI functionality built in right off the bat. And then we'll see what the results actually look like. I'm curious. Yeah, okay, this is cool. And this alone like makes me excited and think about all sorts of lead generation tools that you could build with Gemini here. Like having this score, having it kind of score it on multiple criteria on impact, clarity, relevance, and completeness, and giving me like all these improvement ideas, I think is very cool that it was able to do that. And think about the prompt. It was one sentence, and it came up with all of this. So of course, like, the more detailed we would be in the initial prompt, the more it would be like what we asked for. But also something to keep in mind is sometimes it's better to start simpler and not actually, give it like a ton of tasks initially, and then you can always iterate on it in the future. So, okay, so we've created our initial version. Why don't we add the ability in the grade to upload an image as well? So I'll say, can we add the ability to grade, and just ask it to add that functionality. And then after this, the next step is going to be to go to GitHub and sync it to GitHub. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. Now, if you don't have a GitHub account, now is a good time to go to GitHub. Just create an account. It's free. It's easy to create an account. And that way, when you come here to the next step, you'll easily be able to connect your GitHub account to ai.dev, to the AI Studio, and then sync your code. Now, if that all sounds complicated, it's really not. It is actually super easy to do. It's like one click. And the way to think about it is right now, all of our code is just hosted here in AI Studio in Google. Once we sync it to GitHub, any changes we make here in AI Studio will also be reflected in GitHub. So GitHub is going to be like the source of truth. Then also we can connect Cursor, for example, to our GitHub code, our GitHub repository. And any changes we make in Cursor are also going to be reflected in our one source of truth in GitHub. So this is why being able to sync to GitHub is so important, because it allows us to actually even get off of AI Studio and move on to other platforms. So hopefully that made sense. Just to kind of jump in here, what's cool is Gemini 3 Pro is it has this reasoning built in. So you can kind of, if you want, go in and actually see exactly what it is going to do and kind of its thought process behind it. So the way that AI Studio generally works is it goes through reasoning, decides what it's going to do, then it starts updating the code, and we can see, okay, it updated this file, it's working on the next file, and it'll go one by one through the files it needs to update to actually update the code in AI Studio. So it made the change. Let's go to grade resume, and now it looks like we can paste text or upload an image. So let me get an image of a resume, resume example, and I'll grab an image and paste it in to our editor here. I'm going to drag it in, and this is just from Google, and we'll grade the resume. So now it's going to, I guess it'll use like a different model essentially. So, it has to analyze the image. So image to text instead of just, text to text. So here we go. We have our score, 68 professional skills, work history, completed is 0. It's funny that it noticed that because, it doesn't have education. And I purposely did not take a screenshot with education. So that must have brought down the score significantly. I wonder if I do it again, but this time I include education, how that's going to improve the score. Because this will also be like a good test to see like if it's really working and what's kind of happening behind the scenes. and how much kind of each of those individual scores goes into the final score. So we had a 68. Now we can see I added education, and let's see what it actually comes up with now. So yeah, now it went up to 82. And we can see and had education went to 95. And let's just read one of these examples. Maximize impact in the work history by quantifying achievements wherever possible. Okay, so we could keep building this in AI Studio for a long time, tweaking it and adding features and improving the design. But the purpose of this video is to show you how to deploy this. This video is brought to you by Mocha, the all-in-one AI app builder that has the database, user authentication, email, and storage all built into one platform. Mocha was the Product Hunt product of the week, and it's trusted by over 150,000 users. I've been using Mocha myself, and I find it really helpful, especially when I don't want to use multiple platforms, to go from prototype to a deployed app. Here's a time tracking app that I built for myself. And I want to specifically highlight for you how the database is integrated into the platform. So I did not have to build out this database. The AI just decides what data types it needs, and it will fully build it into Mocha without you having to integrate with something like Supabase or Firebase. This is super helpful, especially if you're less technical and don't want to deal with multiple platforms. Mocha tends to do a really good job of making apps that just work. And if there are bugs, the AI does a good job of fixing them on its own. Something else I like about Mocha is that it has user authentication through Google by default, which makes it super easy for users to sign in through their Google account. And when you're ready to publish, just click the publish button. You can publish the app and your app will be live on its own URL. And Mocha also has the ability to add your own custom domain to any app that you publish. Mocha makes it really easy to go from idea to app, and it's perfect for building personalized software for your own use cases. There's zero setup and it's super easy to get started. Click the link in the description to go to Mocha and try it out for free. So we're going to move on to the next step now. So I'm going to save this to GitHub. So if I've already, connected my GitHub account to AI Studio, if you haven't, then just go ahead and there's like a process to sign in through GitHub and connect it. So we'll create a GitHub repository name. It's going to be resume AI app description, a helpful agent for resumes. And visibility, I'll keep it private and I'm going to create the Git repo. So it's just going to save it here and then I have to stage and commit all changes. And now this will be on GitHub. And if I click this, I think it'll even bring me to GitHub so I can see it. Yep, there we go. So now we're on GitHub. All of that code is now on GitHub. And then if we make changes in AI Studio, this is actually really important. So I want to show you this. So if we're in AI Studio and let's make one change because I do think this is important. So I'm just going to say improve the design of the home screen. So we'll just do something simple. We'll have it make a change because just by making changes here, it's not going to get automatically pushed to GitHub. So it's not going to get updated. GitHub will not be updated until you actually press the button here to save to GitHub and stage and push the changes. So I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like here. There we go. Much better design. And let's go ahead and sync it to GitHub. So if we click save to GitHub, so we can see there's 2 changed files since we last synced. So I can click stage and commit, and now it's going to upload it to GitHub. So otherwise it wouldn't be uploaded. So let's go back to GitHub here. And I'm going to show you now how we can now move off of AI Studio and start working in Cursor, which is the first step towards actually deploying our app live so other people can use it. So what I'm going to do is go to code, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy this, clone using the web URL. And now I'm going to go into Cursor, and I'm going to click clone repo. It's just going to open it up here on the top. I'm going to put in my URL. Now, if it were a public URL, anyone could access this. Because it's a private URL, I have my GitHub account connected to Cursor. So you'll just have to sign in and do that. Otherwise, you just click OK, create a file. We're going to open the clone repository, and now we're inside Cursor, and this is our code. So this is all the code that was written by AI Studio. It's all in AI Studio. It's also in GitHub. And then I'm going to show you how, as we make changes in Cursor, we can push them to GitHub. Now, you could have done the exact same thing with Anti-Gravity, which is Google's version of GitHub. And we could have done that, and it would have also worked. It's very similar. but we're going to use Cursor in this video. But everything you're learning here in Cursor is actually pretty similar to use in Google Anti-Gravity. So a couple of things that are interesting. If we go to the README, so README is kind of like the app's description that the AI wrote. So it's telling us a couple things. It's telling us how to run my app locally. It's giving us the link to view the app in AI Studio, and it's telling us to run locally. First, we have to do a couple things in the terminal. So in Cursor, we can open the terminal by clicking that button on the top right to toggle this panel up. So now we're in the terminal. The terminal is basically a way to like have you talk to the computer. So the first thing it wants us to do is npm install. Now this is just something we need to do to run it locally and install the dependencies that are necessary to do that. You don't have to worry about too much the technicality of it, but it's just telling you what you need to do. Then we need to set the Gemini API key in our env.local file. So it should have created an env.local file. So we need to set the Gemini API key in the env.local file. Now, I don't think it actually has an env file, so we're going to have to create that. So I'm going to create a new file and do .env. And you can have an env local and env for your deployed app, but I'm just going to create one .env for now. And we're just going to set the Gemini API key. So we're going to copy that, go to .env, Gemini API key equals. And then I'm going to grab it from the AI Studio. And you just go down to the bottom left and click Get API Key, and then you can get yours. So just copy your API key and then paste it in. So I did that for mine, and you want to keep that secret because if someone has that API key for you, they can basically do API calls and charge your account. So that's kind of like the password into your account. Now in the terminal, again, we're going to run npm run dev. And now it's running locally on my computer. So localhost 3000. So if I click on that, so I went to localhost 3000 and it's not running. It's a blank page. Now, if I go to console, I can see there is this error. So what I'm going to do is let's actually see if we can debug this a little bit. So I'm going to go back to Cursor and just to check, I'm going to open it. Yeah, I'm getting a blank page. So this is where we're going to start working with the agent. So I'm going to go up here to the agent and say, I just tried running locally. I see a blank page. The console log shows this. I'm going to say, not sure if that matters. Then what I'm going to do, so Gemini 3 Pro is obviously a really great model, but I think this is maybe an easier task. So I'm going to switch to Cursor's Composer 1 model. It's quicker. And that's something to keep in mind, like deciding whether you want a quicker model that's a little bit less smart or a smarter model that takes longer to get your results. So in this case, I'm going to go with Composer 1. It's usually a good balance of like speed and knowledge. And if you ever get stuck, you can always go to the more powerful models like 3 Pro, Codex 5.1, Opus 4.5. Sonnet is usually a good choice. Okay, so here it is investigating, reviewing the files. And you can think of this right side chat as kind of like building like the left side chat in AI Studio, for example, what we were just doing. So it's kind of like just having an agent that can do that. So it seemed to be stuck. So sometimes when that happens, I press pause and just have it click continue. So it's checking the API key mismatch. So it said it added, but let's see if it actually, okay. And there we go. So now it's working. So it was just missing a script tag to load the entry point. So, okay. So that's where like just talking to the agent, if something's not working and just tell it what's happening, and then usually it's able to resolve it. So here we go. Now we are on our local host. So this is localhost 3000. This is running only on my computer. No one else can access it right now. But the cool thing is it is running only on my computer. So let's go to pre-existing resume and let's try uploading that resume again. And let's see if it actually works. So I'll upload that image. I'll drag it in. Make sure that we're on the upload image version. So I'll take a screenshot again, going to upload this image, and we'll click grade the resume. So if this doesn't work for you, or if it doesn't work for me here, that means that something is wrong with the way that I set up my API key, because this is where it is connected to Google API. It's using the Gemini API key to actually analyze it. And there we go. It worked. It's working locally. This means that actually we do have a working app. It's successfully connecting to Google Gemini and giving us a score. So that is all working. So we've successfully gone from just AI Studio to Cursor and running it locally, but having it still work and still connect to Google's API. So there are a couple of things we could do next. So one, we could potentially add a backend database like Supabase. What that would do would allow people to like actually log in, save their, resumes that they generate. We could actually we could force them to enter an email and collect emails as like a lead, kind of a lead generator app. But for this video, I'm just going to jump straight to Vercel because I want us to go from the AI Studio to Cursor to Vercel. I want to keep it a little bit more streamlined. Maybe I'll make another video in the future about how to do this again, but add in the backend and user authentication with Supabase. I think it's just going to become a bit of a long video if I do that. So let's keep it like this. And I'm going to show you now how we can actually push this to Vercel and deploy it. But before we do that, maybe we'll make one more change locally just to show you like what that looks like. So to do this, why don't we, again, just do a really simple one. I'm going to create a new chat. And let me say, improve the grade resume design page. Okay, so this is just the resume grader. And let's just have it update this just to make some updates to the actual code. And we can see here, because I'm using Composer 1, it's super fast. Like it's writing this code really fast. If I were using Gemini 3 Pro, it would take longer. The quality would probably be a little bit better. But here we go. We can see it did make some changes. And that's really what I was looking for, is that, just some changes to show you what that process is like. So what I'm going to do now is in the terminal, I can go ahead and open a new terminal if I want, or I could do it within the same one I'm in, but we'll open a new terminal. We know we're in the right folder because basically you're going to have your computer's name and then the folder name. So you need to be in the right folder. And what we're going to do is push these changes to GitHub. So there's a few things you can do. And if you ever forget, you could always just ask your Cursor agent how to do it. So we're going to do git add dot git commit dash m, and then in quotations, what you updated. So I'm going to say updated design of grading page, and then make sure you close the quotation so we can see 4 files were changed, this many inserts, this many deletions. And then this is the important one, is we're going to do git push origin main, and we're going to submit that. And that is going to push our changes to GitHub. So all these changes that we just made locally in the code are now live in GitHub. And if we had our app deployed, which we're going to do shortly, when we make changes, it'll then deploy to our live app. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So now we're going to go to Vercel, and you need to create a Vercel account. If you don't have one, you can do it for free. And then we're going to add a new project. And this is where you need to connect GitHub again. There's going to be a button to just connect GitHub. It's going to be similar to the way you connected GitHub to AI Studio. Here I can see our resume AI app is right here. It says 48 seconds ago it was updated because we just pushed an update. And I'm going to click import. And then all we have to do is deploy. You want to make sure you're on the right framework preset, but I think it's picking it up from GitHub. This is correct. And we're going to deploy it. And it's really as simple as that. Once you connect your GitHub to Vercel, it's just going to take the code and it can deploy it really easily. And down here, we can see the deployment. Now, sometimes there are errors. And here I can see there is an error. This might be just a warning. Sometimes they're warnings. Sometimes they're actual issues. But it looks like it did deploy it. I mean, it's a very small app, so it's going to do it quickly. If I go to the dashboard and I visit, we can see now this is live. And this is at this URL, this like subdomain of Vercel. And you can go to domains and actually add your own domain if you want, but you can also access it just from this URL. So now it's live on the internet. Anyone can access it. I can share with my friend, say, hey, I built this app. You can, you can actually upload your resume and get feedback. So now we're going just from building locally or building an AI studio where only you can access it to something that anyone can access on the internet. So let's test it. We are live on the internet. We'll do another grade. Why don't we do another image? Why don't I find a different online resume to test? This is a template from Canva. So let's see how well Canva did with their example. So we'll click grade my resume. And it's cool that the image upload worked. It's working with the image analysis. We'll just make sure sometimes something like works locally, but doesn't work in production. If it doesn't work, just something to keep in mind is you can always inspect, right click on the page, go to console. And if there are errors, they show up here. So it's just helpful to know that If something's not working, that can be helpful to find the error logs and paste them into Cursor. So here we go. All right, so Gemini is giving the Canva example only a 68. It says the clarity is really good, completeness is good, but it wants more information, it wants more relevance, and it wants more impact. But it is all working. So there's one more thing I want to show you. So if we make changes locally, I want to show you how we make changes locally with Cursor and then push them live so that we actually have changes live on our deployed app, because there's a difference now. We have two different versions of our code. We have the code living in GitHub, and then we have the code that is actually on our computer, which are currently the exact same, but as soon as we make a change here in Cursor, it's not going to be the same anymore. So let's go home and let's make a change here. So let's say I want to change the color scheme of this app. So let's just, in the chat, let's say, please change the color scheme to pastel red instead of blue. So pretty simple change, should make it pretty quickly. You can see Composer's really quickly reading these files, making the change. It's going through and doing it really quickly. And then to show you what I mean and really emphasize this, once it's done, I'm going to show you the deployed version first. So here, Cursor's done, but if we go to our app and refresh, it's the same because this is the deployed version. We haven't pushed any code yet. But here on localhost 3000, you can see on the top, that's where we are. The color has changed. So if we go back to Cursor, we can push that change. So I'm going to say git add.git commit -m, and then in quotations, say update the color scheme, and then git push origin name. And again, we're not spending as much time with like building a super complicated app. I want to show you the fundamentals of how this all works and the infrastructure. And once you understand this, like adding features is not quite as easy as getting anything you want built without any errors. But once you understand the fundamentals, you can take everything you're learning and start adding features. Okay, so I pushed those changes to GitHub. And something I want to show you, which is cool about Vercel, is by default, when you push changes, it is going to automatically deploy to production. So here we can see we have a second one that's deployed. This was deployed 1 minute ago, and this was the new version. So if we go back to our overview and just go to our link, we can see now this is the live version and it is updated with the new color. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you have any questions about how this all works and how it all works together, let me know. I'm constantly learning as new AI tools are coming out, new AI models, and I'm trying to share everything I'm learning with you here on this channel. So definitely subscribe and check out our past videos, and we have a bunch of future videos coming up as well. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.